Today I want to show a few ways to capture screenshot evidence when you're working on your Windows computer. In the context of you're testing an application or web page or something running on your PC, you find a bug, you write your title, your description, your steps, but you want to add evidence. Actually, I believe every bug report should include evidence, either screenshot evidence or video evidence. Today we'll talk just about the screenshot one. With the sole exception of situations where it's very extremely difficult or impossible to reproduce the issue, and then you find yourself in a way where you know what to put in the bug report, but you cannot produce the evidence again, or it will take too much effort. That would be an exception to this rule of let's add evidence to the bug. Screenshot evidence applies particularly to static pages or situations where the screen is not moving and there's no flow. There's something that is visible standing still on the screen. If it's a process with multiple steps, or if there's some animation being part of the bug, an essential part of the bug, in those cases we want to go for video. But let's say it's something that is standing still, we can just screenshot it and we can still see what's wrong with that behavior. We can still see the bug on this static image, then that's a candidate for a screenshot evidence. First thing we want to do is to capture the screen. The most basic thing we can do to capture a screen is to take our keyboard and press the print screen button. So by pressing this button, I'm going to do it right now, all the contents of the screen, or screens I should say, if you have more than one, will go into the clipboard of Windows. Meaning you can open, let's say, because I just did it so now it's in my clipboard, I could open something like Paint and do Control V or paste, right? And we will see, well, here we see one of my screens, my main screen, and another of my secondary screens. Like I said, we see screens. So it captures probably more than we wanted. Of course, it's a fast way to capture something on the fly, but maybe capture a little bit more, and maybe I will have to now maybe zoom out a little bit and maybe select the portion I want and then copy that again and then paste it in a new file. It's a little bit cumbersome to do it like this. Another alternative, let's not save this. Another alternative, let's say I'm trying to capture a bug on this screen here, would be to make sure that the screen is selected, like the window is selected, and do Alt print screen. So combination of pressing the Alt key, keeping it pressed, and then doing the print screen key. This will capture only the active window. So because my Chrome window was the active one right now, if I now go to Paint, remember, print screen button takes it to the clipboard of Windows. So now if I do Control V to paste, boom, I'm just pasting only the contents of this one window that was in the foreground and that was the active window. So this is a one step forward and more practical, let's say. Once I have my screenshot, I don't want to stop there, because yes, I could save this as a file now and then attach it to my bug report, but there's more I can do. I could, because I'm already inside of a tool, I could highlight the bug. In this case, I could take like some bright color like red and choose a circle or square over here and kind of like a circle where the bug is and say, okay, in this case, I'm trying to show that the bug is, there's a missing image over there. That would be interesting if it was highlighted. Now, of course, you may think this is very obvious. Why highlight it? Make it a practice. It's a good practice, because in this case, I can agree with you, it can be obvious. But what about some other cases, like this other example of a bug? In this bug, we're expecting all of the images to have round corners, and the actual behavior is that some of the pictures have square corners. So this one is not so obvious, not even at first sight, and I may want to do Alt print screen, and when I come here, maybe I want to just highlight all of them. I say, okay, there, right, there, just to make it easier to just not only to spot what the problem is, but also not risk a partial fix. Because if I don't do this, the developer may come and fix one of the corners, but not all of them. So you see how there's a lot of value in highlighting where the issue is. Another way to highlight something could be to add an arrow pointing at the problem. That's not uncommon. And of course, I also have the option of adding text to this bug. So I could I don't know, somehow take the title of my bug and paste it here, or have some small explanation if needed. The way I take my screenshot, I can add so much value into my screenshot. Now, one extra tip that I can think of right now is that what do I show in my screenshot? Well, the more I can show, the better in some cases, if it's related to the bug. So for example, in this page that, well, not this one, but so for example, in this bug that we just saw where we have a missing image, it may be helpful to show if there were any console errors while loading this page. So I may just reload, I mean, after opening the Chrome console with F12, and then yes, actually we do see here a problem with an image not coming. So this information may be useful for finding the root cause for the bug, and I may want to include it in the screenshot. So if I take a screenshot of the whole thing, could be useful to also show a little bit of the console there. Even if the developer is also able to go and do this on their own. Finally, you want to save your screenshot file that has been already highlighted and it's already clear. And what you want to do now is name it using some naming convention. Now, of course, your team or your company may have a naming convention that you want to follow. And if it doesn't, still try to make your own. The easiest way would be to name it the same thing that you're using for your bug report title. So whatever the title was, in this case, if the title for my bug was, for this bug, was probably going to be something like thumbnail corners are not round, something around that idea. So I may just try to save this file and save it as a maybe JPEG to save space, or PNG is a good option also. And just call it what I was calling to, maybe I could just copy paste the title of my bug if I'm already working on a bug report. Just paste it as the name. And that will be a good name, and it will not be lost, because if I just name them Untitled 1, Untitled 2, Untitled 3, or Bug 1, Bug 2, Bug 3, I'm just not able to find them in the future. There are no rules for this, it's not written in stone, but it's a good practice to just be able to keep track of your files and mapping them somehow with your bags, so it's easier for future reference to find these things whenever needed. Now that we know the basics, we may go to some other tools that we have available. Of course, we have the snipping tool in Windows 10. We can just go with this one here. Well, or in Windows 7 used to be called the snipping tool, and it worked kind of like this, where you can select an area and it will capture that area for you. And yes, you have like a highlight tool here. I think you can draw a little bit. So it's a kind of gives you tools there, and you can save this as a PNG or JPEG apparently, yes. So that's another option. Windows 10 now is telling you that the tool is called Snip Sketch, which is just like a next version of the snipping tool. Again, you can do new, and it will let you choose the area that you're trying to capture. Again, gives you some tools to point at your bag, highlight it in some creative ways, and then you can save it. So far so good. Now, that's what's already in Windows without you installing anything. I also recommend having some external tools not included in Windows, particularly because other tools will allow you not just to capture screenshots, but also to capture video. We will talk about that in a different tutorial, but let's look at some of the options. One interesting option is the Techsmith Capture. This used to be called Jing. In fact, you can still see in the URL how it's still called Jing tool. So you can download this for free. and it has a version for Mac also. And once you download the installer, then you can install it. Now, take a look at whatever the license is in the case if you're going to be using it within the context of a company, because some of these tools are free for personal use, but not for commercial applications. Just maybe take a second look depending on the context. It will ask you to log in. After you log in, you will have this small window over here. So basically from here you can trigger the capture button, and it will allow you to select an area that you want to capture, and here's the option to capture an image. Like I said before, you can also capture a video, but we're capturing the image right now. So there we are. Now this already gives us a possibility to choose a color for our shapes, and like I said, we can do a shape like this to highlight where the area is. Arrows can be very useful, and sometimes text can be optional. And then yeah, from here you can just save and just save it as a PNG. Very interesting tool. I found it very useful. And finally, I want to talk about another of my favorites, Screenpresso tool. You go to screenpresso.com, you can get it for free. Again, take a look at your licenses and you download this thing. I'm accepting the license, but then again, remember to take a hard look. Screenpresso is now installed. It lives in your tray, so that's where it is. So you see we can right click on it and we can screenshot a region. Of course, the record video options we will look at later, but let's do the screenshot region. And then again, I can select an area that I want to screenshot, and boom, that's my screenshot right there. Now I can just kind of like double click on it, and I'm immediately taken to an editor where I can draw these highlighting areas where I want to highlight something. And if I want to add an arrow or something, I have arrows over there. Text, like we said, here it is. I don't know. And finally, I want to save as, and then save as PNG. Same as previous options that we checked. Very cool tool. And that's it. You have a few ways to capture screenshot evidence using your Windows machine when you're testing an application and you need this evidence in image format. Remember to highlight where the bug is and use a naming convention that makes sense. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And for more tutorial and quality assurance resources, go to qualityclassroom.com.